I think we are recording now. So everybody, just know, like in the movies, they have a 3, 2, 1, but we don't have that here. So hi everybody, this is JaMarr Brown. I'm with my dear friend Peter Clark Nelson, and we want to just hop on video real quick and share something to all of you that's really interesting. Peter and I have known each other for years, and we have these really deep discussions all the time that are life-changing, that are inspiration, that are motivating. We always say we should record our conversations for years, and we never did up until recently. We said, let's restart recording our conversations, and that led to the idea of actually creating a course where we help people to not just live their legacy, but to love their legacy. And so what we wanted to do on this video was just talking about what took us from having an idea to do something to taking inspired action. Because if you're someone out there that's thinking about something that you've always wanted to do, an idea you've always had, something that you know is a burden, you're thinking about it, it's bugging you, it's on your mind, and it's weighing on heavily on you, but you haven't taken action. We're here to tell you that we were in that boat, and we actually have taken some phenomenal action, inspired action. And we have a great resource is going to come out in terms of an e-course by the end of September. So I'm going to pause there. Pete, let you introduce yourself, and I just want to share what took us from thinking about an idea to taking inspired action.
Awesome. And what's going on, everyone? This is really an opportunity for JaMarr and I, as he was mentioning, to just give a little bit of insight as to how we went from spending the last 15 to 16 years collaborating on a lot of projects,
right,
and having a lot of conversations. And eventually, during those conversations, which, did result in some really cool things that we accomplished, our lives obviously are going in the directions that it has, where we're, there's ebbs and flows, there's triumphs, there's things that set us back. And really at the end of the day, we came to a conclusion that in the past, the not so distant past, both JaMarr and I, we accomplished quite a bit. We were living a legacy, but loving it and really doing what our heart is calling us to do. That's a little bit easier said than done. I mean, the truth of the matter is that for all of us, our heart is always communicating to us. The question is, are we listening? And even more so, are we taking inspired action on what we're hearing and what we're feeling? And that's what Love Your Legacy Now is all about. And so it's really cool for us to just be able to, introduce this concept in this way.
Yeah, and Peter, to that point, I call it like the voice of distinction. And everybody has that voice inside of them that is whispering something in your ear, in your mind, saying, JaMarr, do this, Peter, do that. And what's funny is that voice plays out in the things that we do. So, for example, as Peter mentioned, Peter has written several books. He's launched several companies. I've written 3 books myself. I've been salesperson of the year, sales manager of the year, some of the biggest medical device companies in the world. And so it's not like we haven't done things in life, but then there's the ability that allowed us to do those things were based on that inspired voice inside of us that was sprinkling ideas into all those things. However, what was ironic is that we never put all that together in one place in terms of really explaining what that voice is, how to listen it, how to understand it, how to interpret it. And that's what, the culmination of that idea really is, the Love Your Legacy Now course that we're putting together that's going to come out in late September. But let's just share a couple things briefly in terms of what specifically, I know what took me from thinking to inspired action. So Peter, for people listening that are thinking about something, what is one or 2 things that took you from thinking about it to when I said, Peter, what about this idea? You said, JaMarr, I'm on board, let's go. What was it that made you go from thinking, considering to inspired action?
Well, a lot of it for me is recognizing the consistencies and synchronicities. A lot of people look at things that happen in their life, people coming in and out of their life, opportunities, and they say, well, that's just, it's luck or it's random occurrence. There's no such thing as random occurrence. If there is a synchronicity, that means that there are things that are aligning themselves to what you've been thinking, what you've been feeling. So there's a difference between taking action on something that might be a side quest, so we all have opportunities that come up every day, particularly if you're in the world of business or, you're an entrepreneur, you've got, ideas and articles and posts and books that you might want to write. But eventually there's 1 or 2 of them that just keeps coming up. And it's what I used to liken to when I was writing screenplays is I had all these different ideas, about these stories, and, they all sounded good in my head, and then it's just a matter of writing some of them out. My point is that, does the idea have legs?
Mm.
Does it carry you? Does it move you to the next step and the actions that need to be taken? You know, there's going to be obstacles, and there's going to be other life interruptions that come in. And despite those interruptions, despite all these opportunities, is there that one idea that's continuously rising? Does it have the legs to sustain you during those times where you're going to need to buckle down, focus, and essentially just get your butt to work? And you know, and
Right.
More than just that, these ideas and these opportunities that we have, they can be overwhelming because there's multiple compartments to them.
True.
So it's really about compartmentalizing and saying, okay, well, which of the things need to be taken care of first, and which ones need to be taken care of, you know, weeks or months down the road. And through it all, it can be a grind, but are you enjoying the process? And when I said yes to what you and I are now doing with Love Your Legacy Now, originally the title was Live Your Legacy Now.
Right.
And it was during that process that the idea of Love Your Legacy Now came out, simply because a lot of people live their legacy. A lot of people work really hard. A lot of people enjoy certain aspects of their success. However, there's a lot of areas of success that become highly uncomfortable. The voice of unworthiness will come in.
True.
And so then that voice of distinction, the voice of your true authentic self, do we give ourselves the opportunity to listen to it? And are we following it? And then therein lies again the synchronicities. What opportunities continue to show up that let us know we're on the right path? And at the time you and I first started talking about this several months ago, I was already developing multiple e-courses, and I had a couple books. So did you. You have, you know, Sell It in Color that you've been working on. You have another book. You just had a book that came out, Break It Down Brown. So it's about looking at everything that you're doing and asking yourself, if I say yes to this, how is it in alignment with all of the other things that I'm listening to my heart and I'm following the guidance of my heart? So that to me is what I mean by synchronicities, is everything aligned. And when it does, you have nothing else to do except embrace it and go and get on board.
Awesome. That's so well said. And I just want to share just a couple of things that really took me from thinking to inspired action. One was the idea kept playing over and over in my mind for years. I told myself, if people could literally listen in and be a fly on the wall to the conversations that we have had over the last 15 years, I think people's lives would have been transformed. I think the world will be a better place. I know for me personally, the books that I've written, the first book started because of our conversation, you helping me write it, and that led to 2 other books and courses. Helping my sales team go from last place to first place was based on the concepts of things we were talking about behind the scenes. And so, you know, the power of our collaborations without anybody knowing what we were doing manifested themselves in so many different things. And so to be able to put this course together and say, this is a culmination of all the ideas and thoughts over the last 15 years that have helped us to individually have success, but then come together and have success, is huge. But there are a couple other things that really inspired me. One was, I realized at one point in my life that it was more difficult to not do something than to do something. What does that mean? To me, it's more difficult to have this burden of and weight in your mind and your heart of what you should be doing, because you constantly think about it. And there's so much weight, it buries you, it cripples you, and you spend so much time thinking that it's just so much wasted time in your life. To when you take action and take steps, you realize that number one, not only is it easier to actually take action, but you realize that the burden of it, or the perceived burden, is not a burden because you're doing what you love. You're doing what you believe in, and it inspires you. And so putting this course together on top of all the stuff we're doing wasn't like extra work. It actually made the other stuff even more easy to do, because I was inspired and motivated every single day because I was doing one more thing that I love to do, and I could sprinkle things that we're learning and defining and writing out from the course into other areas of my life. The last thing I will say is this. Sometimes we got to get plugged into our why. And sometimes we think about the activities of things, but we don't think about the purpose of things. And when you disconnect the activity from the purpose, things do feel like a burden, because you're just like thinking, why am I going through all this? And I got so much work to do. But when you plug it into, I'm doing this work for a purpose, like with the Love Your Legacy Now course, our purpose is to change the lives of millions of people, to help unleash people's talent and abilities and voices into the world. That is so inspiring that the activities are like incredible to do, because you know it's going to lead to a greater purpose in this world. I think about my daughter, leaving a legacy for her. I think about just loving my life right now. And all those things are reasons why we decided to collaborate on the Love Your Legacy Now course and put it together, because we got plugged into the purpose behind it. And every single day, it's just an incredible experience. And so, I know as usual, we were only supposed to take a few minutes, but we get so excited to talk to each other and so motivated and inspired to share the behind the scenes look as to what we're putting together. We really sincerely hope that you stay tuned to when the course is going to come out towards the end of September. We'll keep you posted on that. And that you just get plugged into your legacy, start loving your dream, loving your legacy. And hopefully Pete and I can be a small piece of that. And so as you wrap up, Pete, what are some final thoughts that you have?
Well, it's beautiful what you said. And just to, to take that and remind people that what this is really all about, at least, for me, and also I think for JaMarr as well, is to unleash your inspired voice. We all have a voice within us that wants to be shared, that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be any of these things to have an inspired voice. That said, if you are a business owner, if you're somebody that has an inspired message, being able to unleash that voice, to be able to move through energetic blockages and doubts and any form of unworthiness, it's crucial. And that's really what this course is ultimately about. As JaMarr said, it's about inspiring millions of people. It's about raising the vibrations and the consciousness of the planet by moving from an old paradigm of living your legacy and working your ass off to get somewhere. It's being able to enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
So that when you get to that point where you've achieved something, the beauty of the achievement, the joy of it is so much more significant because you've been enjoying the process of getting there. And so again, this is really about unleashing that inspired voice and loving what you do and doing what you love.
Peter, let's do this, because I feel inspired as we do. We talk to each other, we get inspired. I just want to share a couple of the course titles. We need to dive into them, but I think when people hear some of these titles, they're going to be freaking blown away, because they're going to say, I can relate. I can relate. I can relate. So, one that comes to mind for me is tribal shaming. And really it's all about when you set out to live your legacy, sometimes the people around you are not going to accept it, not going to appreciate it. And you could find yourself on an island. Now, I'm not going to tell you how we are going to help you get through that. But if that's something that you have experienced or that you feel that you might experience, that's one of the chapters in the course that I think are really important. What are a couple others, Pete, that really come out to you, that really, you feel compelled to say right now?
Well, tribal shaming is certainly right at the top of the list. The other one is why success is so uncomfortable.
Oh, boy.
Everybody talks about success in some form, right? You're going to be a successful parent. You're going to be successful in business, so on and so forth.
Right.
Why is it so uncomfortable then if everybody talks about it? It's because most of us were not raised to enjoy success. And we get into the nuance of that in this particular course in one of the modules. And also one thing too to mention is this course is being turned into a book. So we have a book that's going to be coming out probably a couple months right after the course is launched. But that's one module. Another one is about how to love yourself, the importance of self-love, and also too, how to have a vision with passion and purpose, knowing what your why is. As you talked about earlier, JaMarr, being able to know why you're doing something, what's the purpose behind it, other than just, okay, I want to make a lot of money, or, I want to make this person happy. I want people to like me. Right. These are all things that go through people's minds, but you've got to have a purpose and a why that allows you to navigate the challenges of life and whatever it is that you're doing, because challenges they're going to come up. So the question is, how do you deal with it? And these are just some of the modules. There's 9 of them in here, and we go into multiple subsections of these modules. So this isn't just an e-course that's giving you a bunch of fluff or a couple of paragraphs of information, then saying you got to buy more to get access to more. There's a lot of our heart and soul that's put into this, and as JaMarr said, we've been having conversations for almost 16 years now, and this is a culmination of all of the work that JaMarr and I have been doing together and also individually in our lives. So we're really excited about what's coming up.
Awesome. Peter, thank you very much. One of the last modules in the course is called Take Inspired Actions. What I want you to do right now, if you like this video or if you're getting the audio, take inspired action. Do something different today than you did yesterday towards living your legacy and loving your legacy. Share this with other people. be on the lookout for more communication from Peter and I. And we just are really excited to release the course towards the end of September. And everyone, thank you all very much. Peter, once again, awesome to collaborate with you and talk to you. The energy, the emotion, and the passion we have for helping people is unmistakable. I think people can feel that from us. And we'll definitely be in touch with everyone very, very soon. Take care, Peter. Take everybody. See you soon.
Take care, JaMarr.
And take inspired action.